Good evening, thanks for joining me this Tuesday on 7Edition. I'm Shafiqa Rizali and these are tonight's headlines. Malaysia to verify claims on China's 1MDB bailout. Malaysia and Singapore agree on steps to curb air and sea disputes. And China welcomes UN officials to verify reports of Uyghur re-education camps. Good evening. We begin with this story. Malaysia will look into claims that China had offered to bail out One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB in 2016 in exchange of securing lucrative projects. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said he was unaware of such claims previously, but the government will pursue the matter if found to be true. In his response to a Wall Street Journal WSJ report at a media conference in Putrajaya today, Lim said he'd only knew that the cost of the projects were inflated. The report stated that Beijing would use its influence to help in the 1MDB issue on condition they were awarded the 65.76 billion ringgit East Coast Rail Link ECRL and the 10.27 billion ringgit Trans-Sabah Gas Pipeline projects.
We know that the price is inflated, but whether there was such a deal or not, I'm not. I think I have to go and check back. I do not want to say yes or no. I have to go and check with the records. But I'll be interested to have a copy of those minutes by Asian Wall Street. But definitely, the price of these projects is inflated. You look at the Sabah Gas Pipeline project. How can 8.3 billion ringgit has been paid? 88% of the entire project cost, even though the work done is only 10%. Something is wrong there, isn't it? I think that is so clear. You don't have to be an accountant and lawyer to know something is wrong. So I'll have to check on that.
The report, published on January 7th, said Chinese officials had proposed to persuade the United States and other countries to drop their probe into the state sovereign fund following revelations of corruption and abuse of power. The Daily was also quoted as saying that the minutes claimed China had offered to bug the homes and offices of WSJ reporters in Hong Kong who were pursuing the 1MDB case to identify where they received their information from. In return, it said Malaysia offered lucrative stakes in railway and pipeline projects for China's One Belt, One Road program of building infrastructure abroad. Meanwhile, the finance minister warned that MCA and other political parties which received money from 1MDB must now return the funds. Lim added that opposition party leaders, including MCA President Datuk Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong, cannot plead ignorance on the origin of the monies in their possession.
Wee Ka Siong said, oh, this one before my time. By that time, I was not the deputy president, I was not president, I don't know anything. You cannot wash your hands off it. If you can wash your hands off it to say that, at that time, I'm not the president or deputy president, I do not know, then we can also take the same attitude. Oh, itu GST punya bayaran balik tak buat. Itu dulu punya kerajaan punya cerita. Tak ada kaitan dengan kita. Kita tak perlu ambil peduli. Kita tak perlu bayar balik. Itu refund GST. Bolehkah kita bersikap sedemikian? We cannot take this type of approach.
Datuk Sri Wee was reported to have said that as far as he is concerned, MCA has not received a single cent from 1MDB since the day he became Deputy President in 2014. Malaysia and Singapore today agreed for both sides to immediately and simultaneously suspend Malaysia's permanent restricted area over Pasir Gudang and Singapore's implementation of the Instrument Landing System (ILS) procedure for Seletar Airport. In a joint statement, the foreign ministers of both countries said the suspension will be in place for 1 month in the first instance after meeting in Singapore to discuss bilateral issues, including the ongoing dispute over airspace. The statement said they agreed that in the meantime, the transport ministers of the two countries should meet soon for discussions on the restricted area and the ILS procedure to ensure the safety and efficiency of civil aviation. On maritime issues surrounding the Johor Bahru and Singapore port limits, the two ministers agreed to establish a working group headed by the Permanent Secretary of the Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Secretary General of the Malaysian Foreign Ministry. The working group will study and discuss the legal and operational matters in order to de-escalate the situation on the ground and provide a basis for further discussions and negotiations. The working group is to report to the foreign ministers within 2 months. Malaysia had objected to Singapore's publication of ILS procedures for Seletar Airport, saying it would restrict the infrastructure at Johor's Pasir Gudang. The two neighbouring countries had also blamed each other for what either side insisted was the extension of port limits that was seen as a violation of sovereignty and international law. Police have nabbed 4 individuals, including a woman, in connection with the murder of a former Angkatan Muda Keadilan AMK candidate who died in Shah Alam, Selangor yesterday. State Criminal Investigation Department head SAC Fadzil Ahmad said police also obtained a week-long remand order on the suspects beginning today to facilitate the investigation. Police are also asking for the public's assistance to help track down a man known as Oziram M. Devan, or Ozzy, whose last known address was in Taman Karupiah, Padang Jawa, in Klang, Selangor. The 25-year-old man is wanted by police to assist in the murder probe. Yesterday, M. Tiahu sustained serious injuries after he was stabbed by 3 men who were armed with machetes. The 5 p.m. incident occurred on the ground floor of the PKNS flat at Section 7. According to witnesses, the suspects arrived at the scene in a silver Proton Wajah. The 30-year-old victim was rushed to the Shah Alam hospital but was pronounced dead at 6:30 p.m. Police are asking for the public's assistance to help track down 4 individuals in connection with the murder of Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. State Criminal Investigation Department head SAC Fadzil Ahmad said 2 of the witnesses are locals while the other 2 are Indonesians. The 2 Indonesians are 24-year-old Raisa Rinda Salma and 33-year-old Desi Mary Sinta, while the 2 locals are Tham Yuk Kun and Eng Wah Hung, aged 50 and 38 respectively. Police said the 4 individuals remain under the radar, although checks with the Immigration Department found that they are still in the country. Those with information can contact the Serdang District Police Headquarters or the investigating officer at the number shown on your screen. The 2 men armed with pistols fled with stolen cash after they robbed a grocery shop in Rawang, Selangor yesterday. Police said the robbers stormed into the shop and fired a warning shot to intimidate the shop attendant before grabbing some cash from the register and fleeing the scene. Fortunately, no one was hurt in the 4:40 p.m. incident in Taman Desa Kundang. Officers were then deployed to the scene to look for evidence, including fingerprints, and found an empty bullet casing at the premises. The total losses incurred is still under investigation. In Kelantan, a 17-year-old boy was killed in a road accident when he was travelling to school on his motorcycle earlier today. The victim, Farhan Naaf Faiz, was riding to school with his twin brother when the accident occurred. It was learned that the incident was caused by a malfunction to the motorcycle's brakes, causing it to fail to stop on time before ramming into the rear of a car. The victim was thrown off his vehicle and later succumbed to his severe head injuries. His brother, also a student at the same school, however, survived, sustaining light injuries. Probe is underway to determine the actual cause of the accident. In other news, in Penang, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MECC, has arrested a government department director for its investigation into a graft case involving more than 45,000 ringgit. The state director of the National Unity and Integrity Department was detained at 8:10 a.m. today. He is suspected of abusing his position to propose his son's company to the EDU Kids System Tender Committee to run the state's Unity Nursery class system. The 58-year-old is being investigated for using his position to obtain gratification. He was produced at the Georgetown Magistrates Court at 2:45 p.m, where a 6-day remand period was facilitated to assist in the investigation. According to a source, the director's son has been picked up in Ipoh today and is expected to be remanded tomorrow. Now, companies offering e-hailing services must get their act together and ensure they are licensed to operate by July 12th this year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke stressed today that the government has given sufficient time for registration and will not extend the deadline anymore.
Okay. So before 12th of July, they have to fulfill all the conditions, including registering the drivers for PSP, providing the PSP courses for the drivers and so on. So, I mean, I'm surprised that the e-hailing told you that they are not prepared. They're not prepared. So, I mean, they have been briefed and the discussion is ongoing.
Loke, who was speaking at a media conference, also strongly urged e-hailing drivers to sort out their documents as soon as possible and not leave it to the last minute. This comes from the constant dissatisfaction shown by taxi drivers against their e-hailing counterparts, complaining of an uneven playing field stemming from the laxer requirements imposed on ride-hailing counterparts. When we come back, girl leaves housemates with cockroach-infested room. Details next. Thanks for staying with us. Let's hop on to our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Now, some of us sometimes have to leave the comforts of our own home and share a house with others, either for work, study, or other matters. But if you're lucky, you get to share a living space with your friends. But there could come a time where you have no choice but to live with strangers. Miko Te, however, was really unlucky as she probably had the worst housemate ever. Her experience was shared on Facebook recently and has garnered thousands of shares. Here's the story. The girl explained that after a year and a half living in the same house, she noticed an increased number of cockroaches running around. When the problem became really serious, she realized the cockroaches were actually coming from upstairs. Suspecting that it was her housemate Belle, who was already known for having hygiene issues, she decided to take action and complained in the housemates' group chat. But Belle suddenly left the group chat after the complaints came in, before suddenly leaving the house and her room in a horrific state. These were the disgusting images that were posted after Miko Te and her other housemates finally took a look inside Belle's room. The room looked like a dumpster with piles of empty food containers, boxes, plastic, and even dog poop on the floor. The perfect home and breeding ground for the likes of cockroaches. The housemates tried to control the pest problem by spraying a whole load of pesticides in the room before sealing up the door with masking tape. Fortunately, the pest control company and cleaners will be coming to clear up the mess and fumigate the house to get rid of those horrible pests. The biggest star of the 2019 Golden Globes red carpet on Sunday wasn't nominated for an award, nor did she star in a film or television show in 2018. She simply held a tray of Fiji water bottles. Wearing a deep violet gown, the brunette managed to make herself known to the paparazzi and netizens around the globe at the ceremony by photobombing almost every red carpet shot. Take a look. After stealing the show at the 76th Annual Awards as she stood behind stars on the red carpet with a tray of Fiji water, the Golden Globe model became the talk of the night. Known as the Fiji Water Girl, she first upstaged Jamie Lee Curtis before appearing behind just about everyone from Nicole Kidman to Idris Elba and Richard Madden. She also stole the spotlight from the likes of Jim Carrey, Dakota Fanning and Camilla Bell. Later revealed as an LA-based model, Kelleth Cuthbert reportedly said she was not intentionally trying to steal the spotlight, but rather her modelling instincts took over. Of her big Golden Globes moment, Cuthbert explained that the photo simply came about by looking at the camera at the right time. She certainly made an impact as there were more than 50,000 tweets sent out about Cuthbert on Twitter within just a few hours. Now updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Depositors of Tabung Haji (TH) are not required to return the bonus that have been given to them. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid Yusof Rawal, said the reason is that the depositors had no knowledge of the misappropriation of funds in TH.
Bagi mereka yang menerima, dia tak tahu apa penyelewengan yang berlaku dan telah diberikan hibah atau dividen itu. So kita live to that only lah, cukup lah. Tak payah kita nak bayar balik ke, atau sebab itu akan menimbulkan orang kata kesukaran.
Datuk Sri Dr. Mujahid said this at a media conference in Putrajaya today in response to public concern over the halal status of the bonus received by TH depositors. This followed a report that Tabung Haji had been illegally paying the bonus to its depositors since 2014, which contravened the Tabung Haji Act 1995 as TH had more debts than assets in the previous year. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad will be writing letters to the French President and the Norwegian Prime Minister to protect the European Union (EU) Parliament's decision to ban palm oil. When met at the Reach and Remind Friends of the Industry Seminar 2019 and Dialogue today, Primary Industries Minister Teresa Kok Sim said once the letters are complete, the ministry will send a copy to the Malaysian media.
And in the Cabinet, we have discussed this issue because we see that it's going to be a trend where one after another, countries in Europe, they are going to pass this kind of rules or resolutions in their parliament. This is going to affect the bilateral relations between Malaysia and all these EU countries.
The EU is the third largest import market for Malaysian palm oil. As an additional measure to combat this issue, the minister said her ministry would chair a palm oil war zone meeting involving the International Trade and Industry Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, and the Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Ministry to discuss how the government would deal with the ban. Meanwhile, Kok shared some positive news as the price of crude palm oil is slowly picking up from 1,700 ringgit per tonne in the last 3 months to slightly above 2,000 ringgit per tonne. Palm oil and palm-based products had generated 62.7 billion ringgit from January to November in 2018 versus 71.4 billion ringgit recorded for the same period in 2017.